Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, word to my brethren in the great country of Jamaica. Wagwan to Jamaica. Now, you guys may be wondering, like, BT, what the hell are you eating right now? I'm eating the Jamaican beef patty, so that's why I'm saying Wagwan. Shout out to my man's in Jamaica. Now, we're gonna talk boxing. We're gonna talk about my main man, Errol Spence Jr., because things are getting interesting again between him and Kell Brook. Kell Brook coming off of a sensational win against Sergey Rabchenko. Before we get into this, let me specify something. Rabchenko is not an elite fighter, but he's not a bum. This is a guy that, had a good fellow Anthony Mundine. He gave Tony Harrison some good rounds. Not world class, but not a bum either. Decent opponent for our first fight. So we got to clear that up because people have been calling him a bum. He's not a bum, but he's not a great fighter either. He's just a solid guy. But Errol Spence has basically stated his interest to fight Kell Brook at 154 should the Special K, snag a title at the weight class. He said in a tweet on March 3rd at 7:24 p.m., he said, I quote, "If Kell Brook gets the world title, I'll fight him at 154. Brook's promoter, Eddie Hearn, he didn't waste no time. He responded right away saying, yes, please. And you know what's funny? Here's what Eddie Hearn told Ring Magazine in regards to a fight with Errol Spence for Kell Brook at 154. He said, I quote, I've always believed that Kell Brook is one of the biggest talents in world boxing, but I've always also believed that he was boxing at the wrong weight. Kell always thought he could do 147 pounds, and in this day and age of social media, he was almost goaded into getting back to 147 to defend his title against Spence after fighting GGG at middleweight. People were saying he was ducking Spence if he vacated, and he wouldn't do that. Take nothing from Errol Spence, but I believe Kell beats him at 154. And quote, interesting quote from Eddie Hearn, because interestingly enough, if you go back to the IFL TV interviews before that fight, he was saying the same thing, like, hey, I wanted him to go to 154, but he was adamant. He was adamant about taking this fight at 147. So, first of all, you got to give Kell Brook respect for going against his promoter's best wishes and taking the fight at 147, the fight that most fighters in a situation who just fought a Triple G, who just got a career high payday, who just took a career altering type of loss, they wouldn't take that fight. You got to give Kell Brook credit for really valuing the title that he won against Sean Porter. So that's number one. Number two, I've heard Eddie Hearn say for a long time that 154 is Kell Brook's best weight. I remember thinking to myself, the fight before Spence, I can't remember who he fought before GGG. The couple of fights before GGG, when he was fighting the Frankie Gavins and the JoJo Dans of the world, I thought to myself, I said, man, Kell Brook's beating these guys too easily. He's looking like he's losing his love for boxing. None of the top welterweights want to fight him. Mayweather and Pacquiao had their whole thing going on. Khan didn't want to fight him. Thurman, that wasn't an option really at the time. And he had already beat Porter. So he had already, he was really, even though he was a champion that was in no position to get any big money fights at welterweight. So the Golovkin fight made the most sense at the time to take because it was a fight that would increase his market value as a fighter. Even though it hurt him physically, and it's brought a lot of questions to his career, and he's never. We don't think a lot of people question if he's damaged goods or not. And the Rabchenko fight, it didn't give us a whole lot of insight into whether he is damaged goods or not, because Rabchenko didn't really touch Kell Brook or anything. The good sign was that Kell went in there against a guy who was inferior, and he was very aggressive, and he was able to be very accurate and pick him apart. Now, as far as Eddie Hearn's quotes as to if Kell Brook, or as to Kell Brook beating Errol Spence at 154, the way I look at it is this. All right, Errol Spence is already a very strong 147 pounder. He's a very big 147 pounder. For him to fight 154, he's gonna be a lot naturally stronger at the weight. Kell Brook would also be more at his natural weight. And I don't want to make no excuses because Errol beat Kell Brook fair and square. We're not going to make any excuses because I picked Kell Brook. I said, hey, man, if Errol can beat this guy, And fair play to him because I just don't see it. Kell Brook is all wrong for him. You guys can go back to my videos in the build up to that fight, and you guys will see that I was saying that in the build up. But what I will say is, I actually think the fight at 154 is just as interesting as 147, for the simple fact that I think Kell Brook will be a lot fresher if they fight. One issue that I feel Kell had in that fight when he fought Errol Spence is even when he was landing and even when he was touching it with some shots, they weren't really having an impact on Errol. And obviously, Errol's a strong guy, but I do think a little bit of that had to do with the simple fact that Kell Brook wasn't really strong at the weight no more. He had to cut down all the way from 160 to 147, killing himself to make the weight. And he was good. He was winning rounds, just putting him in the bank early. But as the fight wore on, you could just see the strength wasn't there, and eventually Errol was touching him with the wrong shot. So, I like to see Kell Brook get maybe, I'm gonna say, 2 more wins under his belt, and I would love to see a rematch of this fight because I thoroughly enjoyed the first fight. Both of these fighters are 2 of my favorites in boxing, and I think it'd be a treat for the fans if this fight could happen. I would like to see Kell get a couple more wins under his belt for the simple fact that I think he needs to be more confident and know that not have that barrier of just worrying about his eye. He needs to be touched with some stuff, and he needs to be able to get through that and win some fights. And when that happens, then they can look towards the Errol Spence fight. But I'm all for it. So hopefully Kell can get a fight for a world title 154 at some point. We've heard Jamel Charlo. I'm not against that. I'm not going to write Kell Brook off like everybody else does. I don't really rate. Even though Jamel Charlo proved me wrong and he got a first-round KO of Eric Lubin and he looked good in the fight, the fact of the matter is I don't rate him as highly as I do Jamal. Jamal is a whole different skill level than Jamel. Jamel is very beatable, very vulnerable. You saw what John Jackson, who's not really a technical boxer like that, was doing to him when he got on that back foot. So Kell Brook, who has a better combination puncher, a stronger jab, a more educated jab, and at the weight is probably a stronger puncher than John Jackson, or just as strong. I don't want to say he's strong. He's only one fight, but you know what I'm saying. He's a more skilled fighter than John Jackson at 154, and I think that'd be a good fight. I think that fight's a lot closer than people think. Jamel is not as good as his brother, and y'all need to realize that. So hopefully Kell can get a world title fight, whether against Jamel, Saddam Ali, and then whoever it's against. I would love to see him win because I want to see that Errol Spence rematch. I want to see if Kell can give another great account of himself and maybe even get the W against Errol this time because I really do like both fighters. I enjoy both fighters. And I had a hell of a time making videos in the build up to that fight. So let me know what you guys think. Errol Spence offers to rematch Kell Brook at 154. Eddie Hearn very keen on making the fight happen. He's very confident in this fighter at this new weight class that he's always stated he should be fighting at for a couple years now. In Kell Brook. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.